You know, I'd say at least a good fair amount of you guys out there who watch my content know that when I say something and I state an opinion, I never retract my opinions. I mean, I think it's possible to have an entirely different opinion as time moves on, but for the most part, I'm pretty consistent. So, that being said, why am I talking about this? Well, I want to talk about She Hulk and how bad this show is. And you can consider this as my review, but more so, I want to talk about what happened behind the scenes with the directors and the writers with this show, because a lot of these people made some really odd statements that you normally wouldn't make when promoting a series as such. Guys, welcome back to the channel. News to Astonish here, Ronnie, where we discuss comics, movies, games, and more. And if you like that kind of stuff where we talk about Marvel movies, games, of course, we're hyping up Marvel Spider-Man 2, then definitely subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and click on the bell notification so you don't miss anything. I upload videos on a daily basis. And if you want to watch more content, then be sure to follow me on my social media as well, which is Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Twitch. Also, I'm going to be talking a little bit about my TikTok here in just a sec. But before we do that, I have an article pulled up. I actually have a couple of articles pulled up that I want to talk about and discuss. So let's go ahead and get to it. So She-Hulk head writer admits Disney Plus series originally developed as a legal procedural unit until writer's room realized that none of us are that adept at writing rousal trial scenes. I have to ask, and this begs the question, where the hell were the writers for Daredevil? But because they wrote some pretty rousing trial scenes in that series, they should have brought them on board. I think the writers and the director of this series kind of bit off a little bit more than they can chew. And I think by making these kinds of comments only lends credence that the show is really just awful and garbage. I know calling something garbage and trash is technically not an opinion, but despite everything else that I think about this series, you know, because the writing was totally weak, a lot of the characters in the series did attack men and made men to look like bad people when not all men are exactly the way that they describe them to be in the series. The show is just garbage. It's not good. And this is perhaps the worst property Marvel Studios has ever had the displeasure to produce. I can't believe this was approved by Kevin Feige. And there are even rumors, and the director even flat out said, maybe you can call it hyperbolic, but the director said, I like to, you know, bully Kevin Feige and I want to do this or else I quit. And there was like even a joke between Kevin Feige and the director Jessica Gao saying, well, if you don't do this, then you're fired. Which really, I think Kevin really wanted to fire this individual. But what's just so strange is that these comments are being made after the series has concluded. It's like the floodgates are just coming out. Like they're just pouring out and these people are coming out and saying, yeah, you know what? It was a total dumpster fire and we thought of this and this and that and that and this. And even so that the main lead of the series, Tatiana Maslany, who plays Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk, is uncertain whether there's going to be a season 2. That's not exactly surprising to me, and I'm not bummed out about it whatsoever because honestly, I'm not looking at the prospect of a season 2 for this series. If anything, I expect to see She-Hulk in Avengers Secret Wars next time, or at least Avengers Kang Dynasty, or in any other film as a supporting character. Maybe perhaps in the next Captain America movie, which there are rumors that she's probably set to appear since the leader is also going to be making an appearance in that film. So anyways, I'm not going to read everything here in this article, but this is from boundingintocomics.com. And I'm just going to read a little bit about it, give my thoughts, and I'm going to read about Tatiana Maslany's interview regarding a season 2, if that ever will happen, which I doubt it will, in what may be one of the most baffling admissions made by a creative attempting to produce or promote their work. She-Hulk attorney at law head writer Jessica Gao has revealed that the upcoming Disney Plus series was originally pitched, greenlit, and developed as a full-blown legal procedural up until its writers began their duties and suddenly realized none of us are that adept at writing rouser trial scenes. Speaking with Variety as part of the She-Hulk's press tour, Gal was asked by the outlet's senior entertainment writer Anna B. Vary if she could detail her initial pitch of the series, to which she recalled, my pitch for the show is pretty close to the show that you are watching. And all that kind of key foundational elements were there, said the writer. Emil Blonsky, Abomination, was always in the pitch. Bruce was always in the pitch. I didn't know if I could use them. I didn't know what the relationship was to Abomination anymore. But I thought, you know what? This is what I want. So I'll just pitch it. Thankfully, they liked all of it, and she concluded. And despite these elements being shared with her original vision for the Jade Giantess solo outing, Gao disclosed that the series was actually conceived with a much different tone and focus. As I went in, it definitely skewed a lot more heavily towards Blancy's trial. In my original pitch, it was an actual trial and it spanned multiple episodes, Gao told Varied, before turning to the ostensible main reason her initial vision for the She-Hulk's MCU debut never came to pass. When we go into the writer's room, inevitably things change as you're developing the show and as you start writing, explained the writer. And one thing that we all realized was very slowly, as none of us are adept at writing, Rousel trial scenes. And it is a very odd thing to admit. And if you really think about it, She-Hulk is probably like the most horniest series or product that Marvel Studios has ever developed, because this is a show about a woman who has superpowers in her 30s, still trying to get a boyfriend and dating, also sleeping around with multiple men. It's a superhero show, lawyer by day, superhero by whenever she wants to be a superhero, and fight crime. In fact, the action is very lackluster. The CGI is actually some of the worst I've ever seen. The writing is extremely weak and obviously weak. And a lot of the characters come across as very condescending and talk down about men throughout the series. I'll tell you this though, the only plus I can give it, and this is criticism that I'm giving you, besides this show being the absolute garbage that it is, that I think it is, and I know a lot of people think the same as well. I'm not saying this because people think this, but I've had the displeasure of watching this series and I thought, my God, that was actually the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen. It was horrible. Compared to Ms. Marvel at least was a fun time. Ms. Marvel was about a kid who discovered that she has abilities and now she gets to be somewhat like her idol that she looks up to. Overall, I had pretty much a blast with that show. That show never talked down to the fans. That show never had its cast members talk down to its fans, disrespecting its fans, calling them misogynists and bigots and whatnot. It's true. The actress that plays one of the villains, who did a horrible job playing one of the villains, actually fought with people on Twitter. Literally fought with people on Twitter. What cast member of any show or movie does that with their audience? It just shows that people can really get to these people on shows and movies. I'm sorry, but if you're a cast member on a show or a movie, you don't fight with your audience. You don't target your audience and you don't make them out to be the bad guys. And let's go ahead and talk about Tatiana Maslany, who again, she's uncertain about a season 2. The lack of confidence is so apparent that if you don't see it, then there's clearly something wrong with you. Now, again, I'm not against you guys liking She-Hulk. If you like She-Hulk and you thought it was probably the best thing ever, cool. I may have some questions, but good for you. If you like the series, good for you. I'm not going to ostracize you. I'm not going to think anything different about you. If you like the show, if you had a good time, then that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. And again, I'm not going to retract my opinions. I'm not going to think otherwise. I'm not going to say, oh, well, it seems like everybody's saying something different, so let me go ahead and base my opinion based on popular opinion. I'm not going to do that because that's just not how I am. If people want to hate me because I dislike the show and I think it's total trash, then so be it. I'm perfectly okay with that. That's fine. That's why we're allowed to have opinions, and that's why we're allowed to feel the way that we do. That's what actually makes us human. Now, She-Hulk Attorney at Law was a fun ride for many fans. I doubt that. But Tatiana Maslany isn't sure that there will be another season coming. Again, I also think the only good thing that came out of this was episode 1. It's a real shame because this series had a strong start in the first episode. And episode 8, when Charlie Cox made his debut as Daredevil in that episode, he did briefly appear towards the end of episode 9, which, again, total amounts of meta, which with horrible, lazy writing. It undid a lot of things, and I'm like, what the hell did I just watch? I couldn't comprehend what I just watched. It was a total mess. While the first season certainly went out with a bang, it did not. Don't bet that from the start, She-Hulk Attorney at Law getting renewed for season 2, while some fans of the series may be wondering if there's more to come after what that wild season finale that's gotten a lot of people talking. Lead star Tatiana Maslany isn't quite so sure about a renewal, and it won't be happening anytime soon. So as told by Extra, after the episode premiered, Maslany feels that the Kevin Feige-inspired reboot or robot in the She-Hulk finale suggests that there's no future for the series. Now, if you've got your own star who is not confident or certain about a future for her character, then clearly the writing's on the wall and there's something wrong. I mean, the fans actually, there's a lot of negative reactions to this. It's not a good show. And it has nothing to do with the fact that the lead character is a female, because there are plenty of lead characters that are women in other properties that I can tell you that they are a part of good franchises. It had nothing to do with it. The writing was just so weak. And I can't believe that I was actually looking forward to this series, because She-Hulk is an entirely different character, and it would have been a shift to what we've already been used to seeing. Like, you know, you got your Spider-Man, your Black Panther, Doctor Strange, and Iron Man and whatnot. I wanted to see more new characters like Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, and stuff like that. I was actually looking forward to this series. And also with the fact that Daredevil was returning, made me even more excited. But now that you have writers coming out saying these odd things, and even its lead actor, and of course, other actors from the series fighting with fans who are giving actual criticism to the series, leads me to believe that we're not getting a season 2, and people are just a bunch of like softies who can't handle criticism whatsoever. But anyways, I just wanted to take a few moments and talk about this because, again, the series is a total dumpster fire, and I would recommend that you don't watch this. But if you want to, that's entirely up to you. You do whatever you want with your time. And lastly, before I go, I'm pretty sure this is the equivalent of a ratio on Twitter or YouTube, where I have like about 24 likes and 19 comments, because some people had some things to say. Some disagreeing with me, some not, some agreeing with me, some just making comments. Again, I'm perfectly fine with that. All the comments remain. I don't hide my comments. I love feedback. I love it when people talk to me and interact with me in the comment section, or when they interact with each other in the comment section. But if you are going to do that in my comments, just keep it civil, be nice to each other, be respectful, you know, and that's pretty much it. I'm sorry if I took up like 12 or 13 minutes of your time talking about this, but I kind of just wanted to put it out there and give my review, and also share with you what's going on behind the scenes of this disaster. I hope Marvel Studios has a bright future, because so far, recently, a few of their properties have been kind of like declining in quality, in my opinion. Specifically She-Hulk for the most part. Not Werewolf by Night. Werewolf by Night was amazing, so definitely catch that as well if you're gonna watch a good show. If you want to spend a good amount of like 50 minutes or so watching a quality little limited run of a show about a character, then definitely spend some time watching Werewolf by Night. Anyways, that's all I got for you tonight, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click on the bell notification so you all don't miss anything. And as always, I will see you all in the next comic panel.